Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanda Balava Girivardhari Gopi Chanda Balava Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Praja Janardana Yashoda Nandana Praja Janardana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanda Bhalava Sridhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janardana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dharma Prabhu ki jai. So today, of course, is Lord Balaram's, Lord Nityananda's rather, appearance day. So I thought I'd read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita chapter about Lord Nityananda. The glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram. This chapter is chiefly devoted to describing the essential nature and glories of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Lord Sri Krishna is the absolute personality of Godhead, and his first expansion in a form for pastimes is Sri Balaram. Beyond the limitation of this material world is the spiritual world, Para Vyoma, which has many spiritual planets, the supreme of which is called Krishna Loka. Krishna Loka, the abode of Krishna, has three divisions: which are known as Dwarka, Mathura, and Gokula. In that abode, the personality of Godhead expands himself into four plenary portions: Krishna, Balaram, Prajuna, the transcendental Cupid, and Aniruddha. They are known as the original quadruple forms. In Krishna Loka is a transcendental place known as Svetadweep or Vrindavan. Below Krishna Loka in the spiritual sky are the Vaikuntha planets. On each Vaikuntha planet, a four-handed Narayan expanded from the first quadruple manifestation, is present. The personality of Godhead known as Sri Balaram in Krishna Loka is the original Sankrshan, attracting deity. And from this Sankrshan expands another Sankrshan called Mahasankrshan, who resides in one of the Vaikuntha planets. By his internal potency, Mahasankrshan maintains the transcendental existence of all the planets in the spiritual sky, where all the living entities, all the living beings are eternally liberated souls. The influence of the material energy is conspicuous there by its absence. On those planets, the second quadruple manifestation is present. We appreciate the Lord Krishna. It's not just one. Well, there's one God, but there's not that this God is alone out there somewhere. But he expands himself in so many different forms. Actually, Krishna has no business except just to enjoy. Actually, Krishna has no business but to enjoy. So he expands into all these different Vishnu forms and so on, to perform everything else that goes on within the universe, and he simply remains in Krishna Loka, and a person who's a very rich person, who's a very good manager. He may have very big business. He may have hundreds of thousands of employees to do so many things, but he has to oversee everything. But ultimately, he's free to do what he wants to do to some degree. Of course, that's the material world. The material world is not perfect, but Krishna can do whatever he wants to do, and he expands himself into all these different forms. And one of those forms is Balaram. His first form was Balaram, and after that, and then we'll read that Lord Nityananda is actually the same Balaram, performing pastimes with Lord Chaitanya. Anyway, going on. Outside of the Vaikuntha planets is the impersonal manifestation of Sri Krishna, which is known as Brahma Loka. We also say Brahma Jyoti. On the other side of Brahma Loka is a spiritual Karana Samudra, or the causal ocean. The material energy exists on the other side of the causal ocean without touching it. And the causal ocean is Mahavishnu, the original Purusha expansion from Sankarshan. Mahavishnu places his glance over the material energy, and by a reflection of his transcendental body, he amalgamates himself within the material elements. He's Mahavishnu. He expands himself into Garbhodakshay Vishnu, who's is lying within the water of the universe, and who will expand himself later as Kshirodakshay Vishnu, who's there in everything, including the atoms. You can imagine. God is so big. We were reading the other day is the Varaha incarnation was so big he could hold the whole earth on the tip of his tusk, and at the same time he is so small that he can uh, stand up inside of an atom and has plenty of space. That's Shirodakshai Vishnu is everywhere, so he's like that. And these are all expansions of the Lord. As a source of the material elements, the material energy is known as pradhana. And as the source of the manifestation of the material energy, it is known as Maya. But material nature is inert in that she has no independent power to do anything. She is empowered to make the cosmic manifestation by the glance of Mahavishnu. Therefore, the material energy is not the original cause of the material manifestation. Rather, the transcendental glance of Mahavishnu over material nature produces that cosmic manifestation. Mahavishnu again enters every universe as the reservoir of all living entities, Garbhodakshai Vishnu. When Garbhodakshai Vishnu expands Kshirodakshai Vishnu, the supersoul of every living entity. Garbhodakshai Vishnu also has his own Vaikuntha planet. Garbhodakshai Vishnu also has his own Vaikuntha planet in every universe, where he lives as the supersoul or supreme controller of the universe. Garbhodakshai Vishnu reclines in the midst of the watery portion of the universe and generates the first living creature of the universe, Brahma. The imaginary universal form is a partial manifestation of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. On the Vaikuntha planet, in every universe, is an ocean of milk, and within that ocean is an island called Svetadweep, where Lord Vishnu lives. Therefore, this chapter describes two Svetadweeps. One is the abode of Krishna, and the other is the ocean of milk in every universe. Svetadweep, in the abode of Krishna, is identical with Vrindavan Dham, which is the place where Krishna appears himself to display his loving pastimes. In the Svetadweep, within every universe, is a Shesha form of Godhead who serves Vishnu by assuming the form of his umbrella, slippers, conch, pillows, garments, residence, sacred thread, throne, and so on. Lord Baladev in Krishna Loka is Nityananda Prabhu. Therefore, Nityananda Prabhu is the original Sankarshan and Maha Sankarshan, and his expansions as the Purushas in the universes are plenary expansions of Nityananda Prabhu. In this chapter, the author has described the history of his, Lord Nityananda's, leaving home for a personal pilgrimage to Vrindavan and his achieving all success there. In this description, it is revealed that the author's original paternal home and birthplace were in the district of Katwa, in the village of Jatmatapur, which is near Naihati. Krishnadas Kaviraj's brother invited Sri Minaketana Ramdas, a great devotee of Lord Nityananda, to his home. But a priest named Gunarnava Mishra did not receive him well, and Krishnadas Kaviraj, his brother, not recognizing the glories of Lord Nityananda, also took sides with the priest. Therefore, Ramdas became sorry and broke his flute. Therefore, Ramdas became very sorry, broke his flute, and went away. This was a great disaster for the brother of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. But on the very night Lord Nityananda Prabhu himself graced Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in a dream and ordered him to leave. But on that very night, Lord Nityananda Prabhu himself graced Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in a dream and ordered him to leave on the next day for Vrindavan. Okay, that's a chapter summary. So let's start reading the verses. Let me offer my obeisances to Lord Nityananda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose opulence is wonderful and unlimited. By his will, even a fool can understand his identity. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I have described the glory of Sri Krishna Chaitanya in 6 verses. Now, in 5 verses, I shall describe the glory of Lord Nityananda. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the fountainhead of all incarnations. Lord Balaram is his second body. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Lord Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is the primeval Lord, the original form of Godhead, and his first expansion is Sri Balaram. The personality of Godhead can expand himself in innumerable forms. The forms that have unlimited potency are called swangsha, and the forms that have limited potencies, the living entities, are called vibhinangsha. So we are vibhinamshas. These two are one and the same identity. They differ only in form. Lord Balaram is the first bodily expansion of Krishna, and he assists in Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Balaram is a swangsa expansion of the Lord, and therefore there is no difference in potency between Krishna and Balaram. The only difference is in their bodily structure. As the first expansion of Godhead, Balaram is the chief deity among the first quadruple forms, and he is the foremost assistant of Sri Krishna in his transcendental activities. The original Lord Krishna appeared in Navadvip as Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram appeared with him as Lord Nityananda. May Sri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarsana, Sheshanaga, and the Vishnus who lie in the Karna ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk, are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami has recorded this verse in his diary to offer his respectful obeisances to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. This verse also appears in the seventh of the 14 verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Lord Balaram is the original Sankarshan. He assumes 5 other forms to serve Lord Krishna. He himself helps in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and he does the work of creation and 4 other forms. He executes the orders of Lord Krishna in the work of creation, and in the form of Lord Shesha, he served Krishna in various ways. Purport. According to expert opinion, Balaram, as the chief of the original quadruple forms, is also the original Sankarshan. Balaram, the first expansion of Krishna, expands himself in 5 forms. Mahasankarshan, 2, Karanab, Dayeshi, Garbhodakshayi, Kshirodakshayi, and Shesha. You would name all those 5? There's a 3 Purusha avatars. Karanodakshai, who is also known as Mahavishnu. Garbhodakshai, who expands is in each universe, and Lord Brahma comes from him. And Kshirodakshai is there in the ocean of milk within this universe, and he's also with the super soul in the heart. And he's Paramatma, and he's actually in everything. So even in the atoms, even in the smallest everything. Otherwise, the whole universe would things work in a certain way because Kshirodaksha Vishnu is there, making sure that things happen. And Shesha, the big snake with thousands of heads, who holds up all the planets. So these 5 plenary portions are responsible for both the spiritual and the material cosmic manifestations. So all these come from Lord Balaram. And these 5 forms of Lord Balaram assist Lord Krishna in his activities. The first 4 of these forms are responsible for the cosmic manifestations, whereas Shesha is responsible for personal service to the Lord. Shesha is called Ananta, or unlimited, because he assists the personality of Godhead in his unlimited expansions, by performing an unlimited variety of services. Sri Balaram is the servitor Godhead who serves Lord Krishna in all affairs of existence and knowledge. Lord Nityananda, who is the same servitor Godhead, Balaram, performs the same service to Lord Gauranga by constant association. So, very nice relationship. So Balaram is serving Krishna in so many ways, and then when Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda appear, Lord Nityananda, in the same mood, is serving Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself in the mood of a devotee. Once Srila Prabhupada was asking one disciple, says who was to be getting second initiation, who is Lord Chaitanya? And he said, Lord Chaitanya is an incarnation of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada said, no, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. It's directly Krishna. It's not an incarnation. It's actually directly Krishna himself. So that's that. So that, and Lord Nityananda uh, is in the same way is directly Balaram himself, and Lord Nityananda is always serving Lord Chaitanya. We read the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita. Lord Chaitanya gives the directions, and Lord Nityananda is carrying out these instructions and serving in so many ways. In all the forms, he tastes the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. The same Balaram is Lord Nityananda, the companion of Lord Gaurasundar. I have explained the 7th verse in 4 subsequent verses. In these verses, all the world can know the truth about Lord Nityananda. I surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, who is known as Sankarshan, in the midst of the Chaturvyuha, consisting of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Arjuna, and Aniruddha. He possesses full opulence and resides in Vaikuntha Loka, far beyond the material creation. Purport. This is a verse from Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami's diary. It appears as the 8th of the first 14 verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Beyond the material nature lies the realm known as Paravyoma, spiritual sky. Like Lord Krishna himself, it possesses all transcendental attributes, such as the 6 opulences. Purport. According to Sankhya philosophy, the material cosmos is composed of 24 elements. The material cosmos is composed of 24 elements. 5 gross material elements, the 3 subtle material elements, the 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, the 5 active senses, the 5 objects of sense pleasure, and the Mahatattva, total material energy. There's 26 elements, and beyond there's 24 elements. What else is there? Because Sankhya philosophy actually has 26 elements. Beyond the Sankhya philosophy that Lord Kapila Dev taught, he taught 26 elements. There's 24 mentioned here so far. So what are the other 2? That's within the first 24. The soul and the super soul. They're not material elements, but they are elements. Because, and that's important because around the time of the appearance of Srila Vyasadeva at the end of the Dwapara Yuga, there were different philosophers, and one of the philosophers also had the name Kapila. So, and he also had a Sankhya philosophy, but that Kapila, his philosophy had only 24 elements. 24. His 24 elements all had to do with the material world, material energy, what we're reading here. But of course, that is not complete because he basically he didn't believe in the soul and he didn't believe in God. So that was that. So the people who followed that Sankhya philosophy only dealt with the material energy, sense gratification, and those kind of things. But they had no knowledge or interest in the soul's relationship with God. But the original Kapila appeared millions of years ago. I don't say historically when he appeared, but millions of years ago. That Sankhya philosophy has 26 elements, including the 24 that we're going to read here, and two more, the soul and the super soul, which makes it complete. So, anyway, so 24 material elements. The five gross material elements, which are the philosophers here: earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are called material elements, the gross elements. And the three subtle material elements: mind, intelligence, false ego. Okay. The five knowledge acquiring senses, what are they? Yeah. The ears, the nose, the mouth, the hands for touching, eyes. Yeah. And the tongue for tasting. Yeah, the tongue for tasting. Okay. And the five active senses. Actually, I don't know myself, but there's five active senses and five knowledge acquiring senses, which are the ones we named, and five active senses. Okay. Well, yes. There's a sense of you acquire knowledge by tasting, but then you have the tongue, which is taste. You have the knowledge acquiring senses for hearing is the ear, and you can the ear and the anyway, we'll have to check out what we do. The five objects of sense pleasure, and the Mahatattva, the total material energy, which is everything else. Empiric philosophers, unable to go beyond these elements, speculate that beyond them must be avyakta, or inexplicable, can't be explained. But the world beyond the 24 elements is not inexplicable, for it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as the eternal Sanatana nature. Beyond the manifested and unmanifested existence of material nature, Vyakta, is the Sanatana nature, which is called the Paravyoma, or the spiritual sky. Since that nature is spiritual in quality, there are no qualitative differences there. Everything there is spiritual, everything is good, and everything possesses a spiritual form of Sri Krishna himself. Our body is the spiritual body is Sat Chidananda Vigraha. It's like Krishna's body is Sat Chidananda Vigraha. Only difference is we are very tiny and dependent on Krishna. And Krishna, of course, is full and the master of everyone. Since that nature is spiritual quality, there are no qualitative differences there. Everything there is spiritual, everything is good, and everything possesses the spiritual form of Sri Krishna himself. The spiritual sky is manifested internal, is the manifested internal potency of Sri Krishna. It is distinct from the material sky manifested by his external potency. So in the spiritual world, everyone's body is spiritual. It's everyone, everything, not just everyone's body. In fact, in the spiritual world, you are your body. Here we have a bad deal. We're inside this material body, which gets old and gets so many problems. But in the birth, death, disease, and old age, all this happens to the material body, right? But in the spiritual world, you don't have to worry about dying. You don't have to worry about when you appear there somehow, but you're not born in the sense of the soul entering the body and having to go through the whole process. You don't have to, we have our eternal relationship with Krishna. And Krishna, in the spiritual world, because in the material world, Krishna, when he appears as as baby, and he grows up and he has his childhood pastimes, and this is all very wonderful. In the spiritual world, Krishna he doesn't actually stay there as a little baby. And he actually appears as he's eternally one age. What is that age? It's almost 16. Actually, somewhere it's written. It's just about a month before. There's so many, like 15 years, so many months, so many days, like that. It's written somewhere in Prabhupada's books like that. So it's just under 16, which is a very nice age. If you're when we are at that age in the material world, you're old enough, you can do things. You can have some kind of loving relationship with someone. It's very nice. So Krishna chooses to remain in that age eternally. So the spiritual world, he's always that age. He never gets older. And everyone else there is whatever age they are, and because of their relationship with Krishna, they also don't get older. So just imagine how nice it is. And this is where Krishna wants us to go. He's giving us that opportunity to go back to that spiritual world and join him. The all-pervading Brahman, composed of the impersonal glowing rays of Sri Krishna, exists in the spiritual world with the Vaikuntha planets. We can get an idea of that spiritual sky by a comparison to the material sky. For the rays of the sun in the material sky can be compared to the Brahma Jyoti, the glowing rays of the personality of Godhead. In the Brahma Jyoti, there are unlimited Vaikuntha planets, which are spiritual and therefore self-luminous, with a glow many times greater than that of the sun. Imagine. Which means you have spiritual eyes, because if we saw something many times greater than the glow of the sun, you couldn't tolerate it. But somehow in the spiritual world, that's not an issue. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, his innumerable pleasure. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, his innumerable plenary portions, and portions of his plenary portions dominate each Vaikuntha planet. In the highest region of the spiritual sky is a planet called Krishna Loka, which has 3 divisions, namely Dwarka, Mathura, and Goloka, or Gokula. And I don't know if it's mentioned here. There's also for those who Goloka Vrindavan, Goloka is where you can go and you can have that very friendly personal relationship with Krishna, as like we read about in Krishna book, Krishna and the gopis and the cowherd boys. That's Goloka Vrindavan. But there are some people who may desire they may really like the form of Krishna, they're really attracted to the form of Krishna, but their mood is really, I like that form of Krishna, but I really don't want to be serving Krishna in that intimate way. I would rather serve Krishna as remembering him always as God. So there's also a place in the spiritual world called Aishvarya Goloka, I think. It means Krishna appears in that form, the original form, playing the flute, but the relationship with Krishna is he's understood to be God. That's there in this spiritual world for those who are inclined in that way. But I think it's an area somewhere within the Goloka. This is also mentioned in the Krishna book when Akura bathed in some river while he was on his way to get Krishna, to get Krishna to take him to Mathura. Somehow he had this vision. To a gross materialist, this kingdom of God, Vaikuntha, is certainly a mystery. But to an ignorant man, everything is a mystery for want of sufficient knowledge. The kingdom of God is not a myth. Even the material planets which float over our heads in the millions and billions are still a mystery to the ignorant. Material scientists are now attempting to penetrate this mystery, and a day may come when the people of the earth will be able to travel in outer space and see the variegatedness of these millions of planets with their own eyes. In every planet, there is as much material variegatedness as we find in our own planet, which is significant because most of the time when people think about maybe there's some life out there, maybe this planet has, maybe there's possibly some intelligent life out there. The thoughts are there, but people don't really know. Or maybe there's just some microorganisms, and maybe billions and trillions of years from now it'll develop into something, because they say that they think that that's what happened on this planet. But the reality is that every planet in the material, every planet in the material world is, first of all, it's not there by accident. Every planet in the material world has life, civilized life. Even the sun and the moon have life, but we would not be able to see it if even if someone went or said they went to the moon. They're not going to see that civilized life because the bodies of the people there are it's a different, it's subtle material energy. So we can't see these things. So if they actually went to the moon, Srila said they didn't, but if they had gone, and they saw rocks and everything around, a lot of moon dust, they're actually seeing the moon, because there's actually a very elevated, the moon is actually a very high heavenly planet. It's a very wonderful place if you have the vision and the body to see it. Anyway, I was saying maybe in the future people will see these planets. But, this is a long purport. And it's actually getting kind of late. So maybe we should not go too long today. Tonight, we have the program. I think I'm supposed to give class tonight. Tonight won't be philosophy class. It'll be about Lord Nityananda's pastimes. So any questions, comments? Yes. Yeah. Yes. And we know what our relationship will be with Krishna. Hmm. Well, we actually have we actually have some choice in it. Uh, in Nectar Devotion, chapter 15 and chapter 16 specifically, there's a process called Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti means that we get to the Raganuga, you can practice Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti when you come to the point that you're not really your concentration is not just on, okay, every day I got to chant my rounds, I got to follow the principles, mechanically, I've got to do this because I have to do it. When you're really spontaneously, fully attracted to these things, then there's a way that you can actually start meditating and thinking in terms of serving Krishna in some particular capacity. That doesn't mean you go around and say, "Hey, I decided I want to become a peacock, so I'm jumping around and making peacock sounds." It's just an internal, mostly internal. But anyways, it's there, and you can gradually develop that mood. And if there's a qualified person, means someone like Srila Prabhupada, uh, who's who can who's actually in the spiritual world and can give us guidance on what relationship we would have, and then we can continue to try to develop that while we're still within the material world. That's there. Or if you one just like we had the example of Narada Muni, great sage Narada Muni, in his previous life to being Narada Muni, he performed, it was sadhana bhakti. They didn't say Radhanuga sadhana bhakti, but he performed very strict service to Krishna, sadhana bhakti, practice of devotional service. And when his time came that he gave up his material body, of course, he immediately got a spiritual body. And his spiritual body, or his spiritual in that identity as Narada Muni, he wasn't there. He didn't take the position, or wasn't of a gopi or a coward boy or something. His mood was more serving. I just want to be a humble servant of Krishna, and of course, he travels everywhere and preaches like that. That was his. So anyway, we can, in the end, even if we don't try to figure out who will be, because we can't really figure that out on our own right now, still Krishna can, at the time of giving up the material body, then he will make the arrangements. But if we, basically, Nectar Devotion describes that if we really have a particular mood, and we start to develop that mood, then we can more likely take that particular form. So it's just like someone can be a father or a mother of Krishna. Of course, it doesn't mean that you Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, you take their position. That's not possible. That they're eternally father and mother of Krishna. But how do you become the father or a mother of Krishna? Yes, but in a practical sense, without taking the post of of, of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, because they're eternally Krishna's parents. How do you if there's how does any how many other devotees in the universes uh, may have that desire? Oh, I wish I could be Krishna's mother. How is it possible? Yes, we can. That's part of developing that. But once in the spiritual world, uh, how do you take Krishna? Mother Yashoda is there, and Nanda Maharaj is there. They're Krishna's parents. Ah, that's right. So Krishna, you know what I'm saying? So when Lord, just like when Lord Brahma stole the cowherd boys and cows and calves, they hid them for a moment of his time. It was a year on earth at the time. During that time, um, they Krishna manifested himself as all those cowherd boys and all the calves, because he was taking care of the calves, the little cows. So he manifested himself like that, and of course nobody understood that, but everyone in Vrindavan who had their son, at least for that period of time, was actually Krishna, and they were all. You read Krishna book, they're all. Why is my love for my son increased so much? It's just like my love for Krishna. And then the cows, they're becoming super affectionate to their calves more than usual, just like their affection for Krishna. So that's how. Um, yeah, she is. Putana is. I don't remember the exact history of Putana. Yeah, she 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 got some special mercy. And we know the history. I don't remember exactly. Yeah. There was some. I don't remember the detail of the names, but there was some personality who ultimately took that form of Putana, and ultimately, even if she tried to kill Krishna, she went to the spiritual world because she was liberated because of uh, because of that. Yeah, because of the mood of because she was acting in the mood of mother, and had something to do with some previous history, which I don't recall the details right now. Anyway, there are many wonderful things to learn about Krishna and Balaram and Lord Nityananda, like that. And Lord Balaram and Lord Nityananda had many wonderful pastimes especially as a child. Well, and as an adult too. I think tonight we'll be talking about his childhood pastimes. So we're in for now. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Nityananda Prabhu ki jai.